Welcome back. How did Mining Your Heart go? Is it full of different events? Let's hope so, because it's going to make the next thing we do so much easier. So what we're going to do next, and I'm going to just move past here, is we are going to do a little bit of partner discussion, which means you're going to have to turn on your video and you're going to have to talk to your partner. So that is why Mrs. Sykish is here with me too. She is my partner today. So exciting. All right. So I'm going to go back to my heart that I mind, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Sykish to pick one of the events. Now, Mrs. Sykish, I'm going to be real honest in looking at these. All of these are significant events in my life, but there are two that may be too big to be one event. One is Marriage to Joe, even though it probably is the most significant event in my life in regards to impact. It's still continuing. It's not just a one-time thing. Thank goodness. And then Boogs is Born is sort of that way, but I could probably spin it if that's what you want to hear about. So Ms. Sykish, looking at Mining at my heart and what I mind, what story would you like to hear?
I am very curious about doing wheelies, lost my chin.
I figured you would be. Yeah. All right, so Mrs. Sykish would like me to tell the story of doing wheelies, lost my chin. True story. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it. Actually, no, I am not. I'm going to get rid of it. And but this is my title. So I am going to then go to page 3. And this is where Mrs. Sykish is going to listen to what I have to say. And she's going to take down notes about my story. Okay, so you're going to have to talk to your partner. This is a safe space because these stories are personal. And if your partner picks a story that's maybe too personal, you could say, I would really appreciate you picking another one. This story is personal, but I'm happy to tell it. All right. So when I was probably in the 1st or 2nd grade, I was probably what you would call, Mrs. Sykish, a tomboy. And my best friend in the whole wide world lived across the street from me. Her name was Jenny. And Jenny was the antithesis to my tomboy. She was very much into all things girly, baby dolls, things like that. And I was into things that were more active. Roller skating, riding a bike, sports. That was not anything that Jenny was into, but we were like the best of friends. So that spring, it was in the spring, Jenny and I were finally, because we lived in Iowa growing up, able to go outside, because just like Illinois, you know, when it finally gets warm enough that you can play outside. Jenny had gotten a pink Huffy dirt bike. And I had gotten a Cabbage Patch stroller. So I said to Jenny, hey, I will trade you playing with my Cabbage Patch stroller if I could ride your Huffy dirt bike. And of course, she said yes. We lived in a neighborhood full of boys. We were the only 2 girls our age, and everyone was just a little bit older than us and a boy. So the boys in my neighborhood, one of them named Matt Fritz, and his friends were on their dirt bikes, just riding around like our street, doing bunny hops and wheelies on the sidewalk and in the street from the curb. So I was just following behind them, not in their way, just following them and mimicking them. And I was doing fine until I went to do a wheelie in front of a house, and the sidewalk was raised up like this. And my back wheel of my wheelie hit that, and my bike stopped, but I kept going.
Oh no.
And my little tiny first or second grade body went over the handlebars, and I landed on my chin on the ground. And I got back up because, yes, it hurt, but it was also embarrassing because I was following these older boys, and I didn't want to appear to be like a baby or, not able to hang. So I got up and I turned around, and Matt Fritz was like, "Oh my goodness, don't cry. Don't cry." And I was like, "What do you mean don't cry?" And I looked down, and my light pink spring jacket was turning red. And I screamed because there was all this blood on the front of me. So they grabbed me by the shoulders and quickly walked me to my mom and dad's house and rang the doorbell. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She was just following us and doing wheelies. We promise we didn't hurt her, but I think she really needs to see you." And my mom came to the door and was like, "Oh my goodness." So here I was, keeping up, hanging with these boys, doing wheelies, and then I hit a bump in the road, and it hurt. And I hurt myself. But what I learned is that once my mom let me go back outside, and I did lose every bit of skin on my chin, the first thing I did was trade my stroller again and get back on the Huffy dirt bike, because I wasn't going to let the fall scare me from doing something that I enjoyed and that I thought I was actually pretty good at. I just became a little bit more aware of raised sidewalks.
I understand that.
Do you have any questions?
So what happened with the boys? Did they help you after, like when you got back onto the bike? Were they
No. I definitely lost my cred with them.
Oh.
I think they thought they were going to get in trouble, but they did not.
Awesome. But what about Jenny? Like, did she want to come on the bike too and want to do what you're doing? Oh.
No, honestly, we probably could have permanently traded those two objects and been absolutely fine. So.
Well, that sounds like a really good story to teach a lesson. Like,
yeah, right?
So much from that.
And I still, to this day, have the scar. Like, you could, if we were in person, you all could see it.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Isn't that fun? All right. So now your partners are going to switch. And I'm going to look at Mrs. Psychish and her minding her heart. And I'm going to ask her to tell her story. And while she's telling her story, I'm going to listen and take notes. And then if I have any questions that I feel like there are some gaps in the stories, or I think it's important for me to know, when Mrs. Psychish is done telling her story, I'm going to ask her questions to fill in those gaps. All right. You are going to do the same thing with your partner. Look at their minding their heart, see what story you find interesting, and start to listen to their story and ask questions.